What do you make of Marner's play here? Because I text with some of the guys who are some other friends who are watching the Leafs game. It's been a huge story here with Marner. It's the first couple of games, he wasn't just invisible. He was just there was times, quite frankly, where he was bad. He was actually negatively impacting the game with some of the stuff that he was doing, some of the turnovers, whatever. This game here tonight, until he made that play that leads to the nice goal, that pass, I thought he was having another poor game. It wasn't necessarily like he was hurting this team, but when you look at it from the big picture of, hey, you're supposed to be this superstar player and you're basically doing nothing out there, that does hurt the team. Through a period and a half, he was rather ineffective. He makes that one play. I just watched this guy just drop off, it felt like, for the next period and a half after that goal. What do you make of his play right now? Is this just all in his head? Is he just not a playoff player? Like, what is going on with Mitch Marner? And is there anything that this team can do to fix this right now? Because it's a big issue.
For me, it's like, he has a high ankle sprain. He comes back from it. I know it's a brutal injury. So I don't know if that plays into it, but then you start talking about history and the way he's been in the playoffs and he just non-effective. So for me, it's like the NHL, which I struggle with in a sense, because we want the game to be a certain way, right? We play in the regular season. It's wide open. It's not called the same way. And then all of a sudden the playoffs start and it's just a free for all and the rules kind of go out the window and there's no structure. And then you get ref matchups that you have one ref that lets everything go. Then you have another ref that's calling everything. And I think Mitch Marner is the perfect example of a guy that can get you in the playoffs, but he can't get it done in the playoffs because of the way the game is structured. Like some of the stick work and some of the holding, some of the physical play that gets called in the regular season doesn't get called in the playoffs. Like, yes, he has to be better, but like, it's tricky for me. I struggle with the fact that these players get time and a little more space and they don't get sticks in their hands. And then all of a sudden the playoffs start and it's just an absolute free for all. So I struggle with the way that the NHL, we want it one way. It's like you have to, like, building a team as a GM, it's like you have to build a team that's good enough to win in the regular season with offense. But then all of a sudden you have to build a team that's beefy enough to get through the playoffs. It's like, well, why the hell does a game change? I struggle with that. And I think Mitch Marner needs to be better, but I think he is a product of a system that isn't built for a guy that needs space, that needs to do it. And he's soft, man. Guys are on him every 2 seconds. He doesn't have the space. And I just think he plays a soft game and it doesn't translate to the playoffs.
I'm watching this guy cross the blue line and, he hits breaks really quick, which in the regular season, you're probably going to have enough time and space to do so. But here, especially with this Boston team, they're on you. They're on you fast. They're taking away time and space. They don't give you that comfort, that flexibility that you have in the regular season. And it's just getting to a point of it's reaching a boiling point here, I think, with Leafs fans. Like, I've had shows here, Huts, where I come on after and I'm freaking out about Marner, and the chat is divided where half of them hate him, half of them love him and say lay off the guy. This has progressively just gone more and more and more towards the idea of like, hey, we can't, like, this guy's hurting us right now. And it's frustrating, I think, watching, because you watch the guy demand the money. He's incredible in the regular season. And then when it matters the most, it's not there. And I mean, it's frankly kind of unacceptable at this point. It can happen in a series. I can completely understand that. But for 9 years, like, come on, man, you got to do something.
And for me, there's guys that play in the perimeter. Like you think about Patrick Kane, he's had playoff success. There's guys that can play that game and still get it done in the playoffs. So he needs to find some sort of happy medium. He clearly hasn't. But like when you're talking about a guy that makes that kind of money, which was always explained to me when I was backing up like a goalie like Pekka Rinne, or you're playing with stars, like their job is to win hockey games. Your job is to not make mistakes. As like, if you're a filler, like if you're on the third or fourth line, your job is to chip in when you can or get pucks out and be simple. Don't get pretty much be even for the game. If you're a star, you have to score. That's what you're paid for. And you think about his money he's making right now. If that was divided into, say, 2 defensemen or 1 star defenseman, how much better does that make this Leafs hockey team? And that's, I think, what leaves a bitter taste in people's mouth is like, where's that money better spent? And now traditionally you look at all these other teams that win, they win with a better back end, more structure, giving up less, grinding it out. Where all of a sudden you have this Mitch who's great. He's an all-star. He can do all these amazing plays, but come to playoff, he's non-existent. So it's hard to keep going to bat for him. I think that's the biggest struggle people have with him. I know there's homers that love him, but like you can't lie. Like he's been non-existent, and it's not this first time in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's hard, right? Like you can love the player. I get that. It's just I'm no longer at the point as a fan where like I'm happy with walking away with 105 points and watching this guy have that season. Like I just don't care anymore, you know? I go through the regular season and the most investment I have in it is because, yeah, I'm a fan, obviously, but like doing the post-game shows. So I'm here for everyone. So I'm going to watch everyone. Other than that, you know, if I was just a fan sitting at home, there's probably a part of me that's just kind of tuning in to see if Matthews scored. Otherwise, like, let's find out what happens in the playoffs, because it's not really that I'm not interested in the team, but it's like, does it really matter until we get there? And this is a guy who all year everyone can talk about how great he is. And then when it gets to that point, it drops off.
Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long form interviews, we got clips, we got epic rants by Jay Roseau. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at TheLeafsNation.com. Thanks so much for watching.